talking quite a lot. So, well, hey, let's hope that a whole lot more people jump on, but I'm showing 10 o'clock with 25 seconds. Andre, how are you?
I'm recovering from bronchitis.
Oh,
and how are you?
well, that makes it, I'm awesome. I'm not dealing with that. So I'm doing a whole lot better, but that makes it difficult to talk to people, doesn't it?
Last week I was out of commission completely. This week I'm getting back into it, but I think I pushed myself too much this week. Today was brutal getting out of bed.
I can hear the little bit of stress and struggle in your voice. So,
Yeah.
well, we won't ask you to talk any more than you want to, but let me ask you
I'm a
real quick.
talker. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
All
If
right.
there's somebody in front of me, I'm talking. It's part of the problem.
Well, good deal. Good deal. Well, you know, share with me, did you have any positives from this week? Any good news or anybody? Actually, let's start there, but who's got good news about the past weeks?
I do.
Oh, okay.
All right,
Oh,
go,
Oh,
Jen.
sorry.
Let's hear.
I need to snatch it. No, I do. I'm excited. I got my first offer accepted. And
Yay.
my first, yay, yeah, that's huge, right? And then my first listing went live today.
Ooh,
It's been a big week. Yeah.
that's awesome. What were
Yeah.
your sources on both of those?
Myself. My first one was from my sphere, literally, and I'm sorry, my team is having their meeting right now too, so, and they're really loud. If you saw us at the award ceremony, we're really loud. So my first one was my sphere of influence. I happened to see a friend of my brother's through volleyball post, do I have any friends that are a realtor? It was like that moment you think exists but never does. So I messaged her and I gave her the information she was looking for. I answered her questions and it just kind of went from there. And so now we're listing her home. And my other one was through an open house through Kim Dooley. I did an open house with her. It was a young first-time buyer, and he was pretty timid and defeated and said he was going to wait till July to start shopping. And I asked him if he'd want a second opinion on his mortgage. And I connected him with our new mortgage guy in-house named Steve through Ross Mortgage. And he, got offer accepted this week. So he's pretty happy too.
That is fantastic. And you know, you bring up two things, which really is the opportunities are endless is where we get business from. But one, your sphere of influence. Now, curiosity, was this individual on your initial list?
No, not yet. Like,
isn't that
no, it didn't come up yet.
And so the reason I asked Jen that is because we have a tendency, so make note of this. We have a tendency to go, well, yeah, not really. They're not on my sphere yet. Here was somebody on Facebook, not on Jen's list, and they should have been, but it's the perfect example to everybody you have a relationship with. And this was a former classmate. So, right?
She was just a friend of my brother's. I knew through volleyball, just, you know, someone.
So there we go. So not a classmate, but go back to the classmates, but there's a friend of my brother. So we should be looking at, well, start right out with that. Let me go to mom and dad in their Facebook account and look at all their friends. Okay, make this note. This should be something you would do this week. If your sphere of influence isn't 300 to 500, turn to first mom, then dad, then brothers, then sisters. I don't care which order you do it, but just start going through the closest to you, closest friends, looking at their friends and start requesting them to friend you. Then start finding all of their contact information and begin communicating with them. And that's a great example for that. Second part out of that great story, it was an open house. and you think, well, there's not that many calmer people go that, well, open house are a waste of your time. And I always say this, where else can we go and sit on our butt waiting for people to come in and tell us that they're thinking of moving? Because isn't that what we're actually looking for? I'm looking for people who are thinking of moving. If they know they're going to move, they probably already have a real estate agent. Open houses work if you will work them in, oh, by the way, it's what you will do before and after, almost more than what you'll do during. Because Jen, if I'm right, story has it that you went out and knocked on doors beforehand too. Was that you?
I did I just knocked on doors at my listing. Yeah, I invited all the neighbors to come out on Sunday an hour before my open house. So I left these little door hangers with a terrible business card, but also like an appointment reminder. So I wrote the address and the time. So yeah.
And did you get any leads from that perchance?
I had one guy that was interested that said, oh, okay, so you have some data. I was kind of like, what brought that up? I said, yep, I've been looking at things for the past few months, actually. So we could get really specific. So I tried to entice him. So he kind of wanted to come see. It might be that he's comparing, when he bought as to what things are selling now.
Okay. So guys, here's a question. Let's say we're going to do an open house and we do what Jen did. And so we're out knocking on the doors. We invite them to the open house. What do we say while we're there? What do you want to know? What's the real reason? What do you really want to know when you're there knocking on that door when you talk to a human being? Yes, one, and this is where you take yourself off mute and jump in. One, I do want to invite them to the open house. That is the reason that I'm doing it, right? But is that all I'm doing? What else do I want to find out as I get a chance to talk to that human? I'll give you a hint. There's two things.
Your future.
Come again?
When do you plan on moving?
Bingo. It's, are you a prospect? If I simplify it, are you a prospect? And what's the other question?
Who do you know?
Who do you know that is a prospect? Now that's simplified, but obviously, let me ask you, if you were to make a move, when would you do it? We could go as simple as, so I appreciate you coming down if you can make it. Now, I'm just curious how long you lived in the neighborhood. Where did you happen to move from? Let's say you were to make a move. Where would you go to? And when do you think that would be? And that's a series of questions. And by the way, it's not a specific script, but it is in the scripts. And I think it's just a general prospecting where you're going to find those basic questions, and they will fit with anyone that you get an opportunity to be able to talk to. So that's great. All right. Well, let's, who else has got some good news from the week? Jen, that's awesome. Congratulations. By the way, I want any kind of good news. Everybody's had good news. Even if I found out I got strep throat or something of that nature, there's some kind of good news I've got. That's all right. I can wait.
Can you hear me?
Any kind. Yes, Kenyana, go.
So I have a potential listing for Sunday, so that's kind of good for me.
I think that would be great. Awesome. And Kenyana's doing this while working full time on top of it. So that's a congrats. Who was it? Just put in there. I got my first closing. Liz, second deal tomorrow.
Yeah, I have my second deal closing tomorrow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What's that from for you?
I'm sorry.
What's the source from that deal for you?
I actually also work full-time for a school district, and it's one of my staff members on my team. So
What we call sphere of influence again.
yes.
You know, in the school district, it's one of the best sources you've got is all those people that are stuck in the building with you. And all we ever
Yes.
have to do is talk to them daily and remind them that we sell real estate also.
Oh,
What a
I do.
great
I hand out my school business card with my real estate business card and let everyone I meet know I also buy and sell homes. If they know anybody, give me a referral or let me know if they have anything potentially coming up themselves.
Yeah, and you know, a great thing to do would be actually just more direct. But hey, when you know of somebody, would you refer me?
Yeah,
Matter of fact, yeah, better yet, when
right.
you know of somebody, would you call me and let me know who it is?
Yeah, I like that.
That's where we're actually beginning, if you will, to train our sales staff. The people who can sell us are the people that we know.
Yes.
And so just do a great job with them. Congrats. Are you a teacher then too, Liz?
Thank you. I'm actually the admin assistant for the director of operations.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so I have my own office and it's really a perfect setup right now. So, and I'm also a notary and I went to do a notary yesterday and the client I met with actually asked me if I was busy and I said, well, I'm really busy with real estate. And she said, oh, I'm actually looking to sell my house and I haven't talked to any realtors. I would definitely like to use you. So she's looking to buy and sell as well. So that was excellent.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Well done. And there's a great example of talk to everyone. And, you know, Larry and I here in Rochester, we were just talking about it from an aspect of recruiting. And, you know, he's out eating at a restaurant. And guess what's one of the questions that he brings up to the server? You ever considered a career in real estate?
Nice.
So we simply got to ask everyone. So Andre, you were saying what is your question? Was that to what do I want to say? Because I said there were those two questions. One is, are you a prospect? Who do you know that's a prospect? Otherwise, every time we talk to someone.
She was responding to me. This is Yvette.
All right. All right. So
And
we've got it.
I wanted to ask the other agents when everybody started.
Oh, well, let's go through. Let's find out how that works. So you hit us first with yours. How long has it been for you?
I just passed my exam in April, so technically my start date was like 2 weeks ago. I'm fresh.
All right. And I'm just going to go around. So everybody take themselves off mute. But Jen, it's been how long for you?
Yeah, so I passed my license in December. I started the first week of New Year's. And then, as I said, yeah, I just got my first deals this week.
All right. And there's,
yeah, I'll take it again. Sure.
Everybody's applauding for you. Yeah. And Michael, you want to throw out for you, bud?
Yeah, I started in April 2021. So this is my second year now.
He's into his second year. He's using some good verbiage right there. Let's see. I'll go Beth Ann and Amberine.
I passed in late August and I started the first week of September. I closed 2 in November, 1 in December, and now I have a listing coming up.
Awesome. Excellent.
Thank you.
Amberine.
Hi, little more than 2 years.
A little more than 2 years. And Kenyana, and then I'll go to Jason.
Hi, I celebrated 1 year license May 10th.
Excellent. Jason?
November 2021. So roughly 7 months.
All right. And let's see, Mediha and Liz will go.
And I started last year, April.
Okay. So just into a full year, Liz?
Yeah, I actually got my license in October 2020 and I had my license in holding up until about March 15th of this year. when I signed over with Century 21, and I got my first client the next day.
Yay.
Yeah.
And see, that's the way we really want it to be able to work, right?
Yeah. It was
That's awesome. Ursula, how about you?
I started at the end of August last year.
Awesome. Awesome. And then we've got on with us managers, mentors, Brenda Davis and Jerome and Rick, and Crystal's one of our mentors. So a small group, but we're going to work on making sure that we get everybody in here, because the biggie, guys, is from these discussions, we should be learning. And I don't have, quite frankly, much of an agenda. But what you'll always hear is, I believe that there's things to learn by sharing the good news that you guys get. As big or as small as it might be, I think we've already been able to learn. You know, Jennifer's is the big key. You know, hang with it, be patient, but be persistent in regards to your follow-up, because that's where it's going to be at. Along with that, yes, hold open houses. Open houses are productive. Look, until you get up to about 5 million, hold open houses. When you can get one, hold an open house. I don't know how else to put it. When you can get one, hold an open house. Do the right things before, during, and after. Almost more important is what you'll do before and what you'll do after. Okay, so that's good stuff. And I think it was great to be able to get to know a little bit of everybody with their time and what they're doing here. Any other good news that anybody's got to share? Michael, go for it.
The last 2 weeks I've been holding open houses, and I have one this weekend. Is
Great.
close to Clinton Township, I believe. Is actually Luigi's listing.
Okay.
And, if anyone has a client interested, please bring them in.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, are you knocking on doors beforehand?
Right now, not knocking on doors. I'm making calls only because the weather is not stable so far.
All right. I can live with that. Let's just talk to people, make sure that we're asking great questions, right? Jerome, you had something for us?
Yes, one closing this week and one listing since we last met. And I'm doing photography today.
Yay. Hey, Jerome, I mean, here, share with everybody, you've been in the business for how long now?
June 2002. This is year number 20 coming up.
So what do you think the key to success is?
Talk to people.
It's hard to make it any more simple than that, isn't it?
I say that jokingly, but I have what I call the 3-foot rule. Anybody that comes within 3 feet of me, they get to hear about real estate for at least 30 seconds and they get a business card.
It's a simple thing. It really, really is. We simply cannot be afraid. And you know, most of you guys know Shelley Battershell, right? And Shelley did, I believe it was just over 4 million last year, maybe 4.5. She did 12 transactions and she did it in 6 months. I hope I've got those numbers right. I'm not far off if I don't. But you know what she did? Everybody that she ran into, she talked real estate with. And Shelley talks to people. So again, I can't tell you how simple it is. It is that simple, but we've got to talk raw numbers. What else do we do with our day? As a matter of fact, let me ask you this. And I want you to type it into the chat room. So open up the chat window. You either pull it up from the bottom or the top normally. I want you to type in how many hours a day you believe, and let's all go as if we were full-time, real estate is all we did. How many people should we be talking to a day? How many hours? So how many people, how many hours? And type that into the chat room. That way we can all see it.
Hi, Darwin.
Go,
This
Brenda.
is Brenda. Hi. Just to kind of add some support to that, I was in a Verizon store one day last week. It was pouring down, raining. Went inside because Verizon is giving away free phones, right? And I get in there are 3 customers in the store, but only 2 representatives there. So I started talking to this lady who's standing waiting to see this guy that she had an appointment with. We started chatting. I told her I was a realtor, gave her my card. She is a retired owner of a home inspection company. So she gives me the name of her home inspector who hasn't retired. He's still working. The young man that was sitting at the desk talking to one of the reps, he got up and gave me a business card. He's also a realtor. The lady that was sitting with the other representative there, she asked me for some of my cards. She gives me her business address and invited me to bring some of my business cards over to sit on her counter in her business. So there are 3 people there that just by actually initiating conversation with one, I wound up talking to all 3 of them and the 2 representatives there. So, it's just about talking to people, as you say.
We just got to keep it simple. And I love what you guys are putting in here. So we've got 2 hours, 3 hours. Michael, I like that. 25 people in 3 hours. So we're talking about, you're averaging about 8 with that, maybe 9, which is great. So if I got 3, and look, by the way, a guide that I always say is a minimum of 5 per hour. You guys now in your own are starting to justify more of what I really believe it can be. So there's full time doing 2 to 3 hours a day talking to people. Absolutely. 20 people. I love that, Phil. That's great. Rick, who's our Richmond manager, 5-minute conversations, get as many contacts as it takes to get past a voicemail. So it's really is, we're talking a contact again to find someone who we had a conversation with. We actually exchanged information. So there was a conversation back and forth. So get past a voicemail, but have conversations. Elizabeth is 2 to 3 hours, absolutely 4 hours. As many calls you can get in during that time period. Minimum, I like that too, Jerome. Minimum of talking to 5 people a day, 4 hours a day, talking to people. So how many hours and then how many people can you talk to during that time period? I think that's a real key that you've got in working with people. Hey, Rick, you had something that you wanted to share too regarding this subject.
Yeah, and it's as simple and as embarrassing sometimes we feel inside, just wearing a name badge, a Coldwell Banker pin, something like that. Now, this is a real story and it happened to me a number of years ago, and I don't want to say how many numbers, but was in the office doing some prep, and I was like, what time is it? I got a call from my wife. We got company coming over. You better go and get this from the Kroger and get it back here. It's like, okay. So I went up there. I forgot to take my name badge off. Why did I say forgot? Because I always took it off when I left the office. Stupid. Don't do that. I was in line. Lady goes, can I ask you a question? You're in real estate? Yeah. If we have a listing now and our agent doesn't get back to us, where our listing is expiring, can we talk to you? Absolutely. So I wrote down the name and went to the party. Next day, I looked up her house. Not only did they have a house worth $450,000, but they were buying one for $6 million. And I'm the only one that called them back. So it's as simple as having whatever it takes to get your introduction. The first, hi, I'm in real estate. You want to sell? No. You got a neighbor you don't like? Oh yeah, they'll give me their address. I'll sell them, get them out of your neighborhood. Whatever it takes to sell. But just wear your name badge. You'd be surprised how many, oh, you're in real estate. So how's business? And that's a whole nother class, isn't it? Anyway,
and I always share this.
Wear your stuff.
I was going to say, I share the story of Darlene Hendricks, which is, for those who don't know, I call her the matriarch because she is Chris Hendricks's mother and one of the partners in HRC. And I had Darlene on a panel and I said, Darlene, what was the key to your success? And Darlene, as sweet as she is, a simple statement. I simply make sure that I talk to 5 people a day and I ask them a question. Who do you know who needs to buy or sell real estate? That was her statement. And that's a quote, by the way. Who do you know who needs to buy or sell real estate? And she continued with a short story of, when I go to the grocery store, I look for the longest line, because I might have 5 people there that if I didn't talk to anybody, there's 5 people that I can start a conversation with. And you might not be comfortable in doing that. And what I would say is suck it up, step into the role. You are a salesperson. And by the way, if I were still selling actively 100%, I've got to step into that role. When I go knock on a door, if I were to go call on a FSBO, I have to take off my I don't like doing this and go, here we go, showtime, and roll. Okay. And that's probably 75% of us anyway. We have to do that because it's not a natural thing for us. But bottom line, real estate is about talking to people all day long, regardless of where we're at, what we're doing. And Crystal, you nailed it with that. We are constantly marketing ourselves, and we have to remember that. But what I would tell you is, have you now determined and filled out, completed your dream sheets? Have you? Okay, Jen, thank you for that. And by the way, what that means is I'm not quite there. I got more that I should be getting down, right? So if you've got that, that's huge. Thank you. Thank you, Ursula, Liz, yep, Beth. Have you turned it into the manager, to your mentor, so that they know? Because when they sit down with you, they need to know why they're going to ask you the hard questions and have the fierce conversations, because it's not about what they're going to get out of it. It's what you're going to get out of doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it. That's why they need those. Now, then get that converted to, how much money do I need to make to be able to make that happen? For some of you, it's, I want to leave the full-time job I'm in. And then you've got to break it down to the why. Why do I want to leave that job? Because it'll come down to the point of, when you after you get done working 8 hours, spend 30 minutes on the road getting home, to then make dinner, to turn around and now have to pick up the phone and talk to a whole lot of people. Because if you talk to a whole lot of people, what is that going to do? You're going to set an appointment. If you set an appointment, now you got all the prep work. And this is all the additional time that's going to go in. But you go back to, if I don't do this, what's going to happen? I'm continuing to work the full-time job that I don't want to work. I can't get into the real estate the way that I really want to get into it. So we need that number. How much money do I need to make? Then how many of appointments do I need to go on per week to be able to get that? Because see, if I don't have that, I cannot break it down to how many people I need to talk to. However it happens, whatever the activities are, I cannot know whether or not I've actually met my job description until I have those basic numbers. And then you can turn those in and you can look at yourself in the mirror and decide whether or not you've actually lived up to what you've written for your job description, and whether or not you stay in the business or whether or not you get out of the business. Now, I want you to know this, gang, I am available to talk to one-on-one. As an example, Andre, just give me a head nod, but can I pick on you for a little bit? Thank you. Andre is doing a great job of contacting people. And yet something that I've noticed, because she's turning her sheets in wonderfully. She's talking to a lot of people, but not getting the number of or let me rephrase that. She's getting the number of contacts that she needs, but she's not getting the appointments, which lead to the listings or sales that she's looking for. Is that a fair statement, Andre? Okay. So Andre, you and I need to set up a time to talk. I owe that to you, right? And by the way, this is with anybody, but that's just something I noticed from looking at her sheets. I'm going, okay, here's a very big anomaly. I've got to find out, with her talking to that many people, why are we not getting appointments? And she and I will have some fierce conversations, and we'll look at what is keeping her back from getting those appointments. Make sense? I want you all to know that that's available to you. So Andre, if you would, just when you're feeling good, make sure you contact me and let's get something up to where we can talk. I'm going to be heading out tomorrow for the weekend, and I'll be back at it on Tuesday. So, all right, let's see. Somebody share with me what they need help with. It's like, I'm doing this stuff. Here's a struggle. This is the open opportunity for us to discuss. And by the way, if you need help with it, probably 9 out of 10 people on the call have the same need. So let's talk about that at this point. This is your opportunity. This is coaching. I need help with anything.
Okay, can I raise my hand?
Yeah, go, Kenyana.
Okay, I need help with, I guess, better projecting what I'm trying to say to the clients. And I guess that's just practice, because I freeze up every time I talk to them. Is there an echo? Can you hear echo or no? Is that me?
Actually, it just sounds like you're cutting out a little bit. I don't know if it's on my side or yours.
Can you hear me better now?
That was real clear.
I have trouble projecting what I want to say to a potential client. When it's time to get in their face, I freeze sometimes. And I think that may come with practice. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. When you say you have trouble projecting, what do you mean by that?
So if you and I were in front of one another, I'll know what I want to say, but getting it out correctly or the way I think that they would receive it, it doesn't come as smoothly as I would like.
I gotcha. Well, I've got something in my head that I would throw out, but we're fortunate. We've got managers and mentors on here, and we have each other. What would you throw out, guys? How could we help? What do you need to know yet? Maybe to
I
help.
would say become familiar with your scripts, because that's going to help you. That's going to give you the words to say. So the more that you practice those, the more familiar, and after a while, the words are just going to spurt out as though they're yours. So something that I've suggested in our classes, that we sit down and we review those skips and we rehearse them. And just with our group, doing that back and forth is going to help all of you become more familiar with what to say. The other thing that I've also kind of recommended is that we become familiar with our documents. Because once you have that conversation, what you're hoping to do is to get an appointment. And when you get that appointment, you know, that's a whole nother ball game. But I think that coming up on Monday, I would like all of you to bring your scripts, and we're going to start reviewing those on a regular basis. So that would be my recommendation. Any other suggestions out there?
I'm going to back Brenda up on that. That was one of my first thoughts. Absolutely. So it sounds silly, everybody, to do scripts, to learn and practice scripts. Yet, whether we like it or not, we're scripted. All of us are scripted. It's just when we have very good specific words to use, it gets a whole lot better. And the other thing that I would take to add on to what Brenda said know the process and what's going on beyond the script. So don't memorize simply the words, but what is the message within the script? Understand what's happening, because at that point, it's much easier to be able to deliver that, and understand what it is that you're actually delivering. When we know the process, the methodology behind it, it will become much, much easier to be able to do that. And yeah, Kenyana, I think this is a great thing. Andre actually offered to be a role play partner with you. So if you want to do that, you guys can exchange your contact information in the chat room there, but I would strongly encourage that we do that. The benefit being this, Kenyana, you got somebody as an example sitting in the chair and a conversation comes up and you go through and things didn't work to the way that you wanted it to be. You didn't get the result that you do. Well, when you role play with Andre, here's what happens. You play that individual in your chair and you let Andre see how they would handle that, hear what they would do, hear what they would say. And by the way, I would put it this way also, hear what they would ask. And you're going to find out what another agent would have done in that same circumstance. It's hard to make it go exactly the same way, but it will be there. And yeah, you know, it brings up the other part Jerome put here. Know the script, speak from the heart, and adapt it to your personality. When you understand it, that's what will happen. When we hear it enough, it will also go right into here. So here's what I mean by that. I can think of a young lady back when I was in Muskegon, and she sat beside me in the next cubicle. And what she had was an incoming call, and I'm listening to her handle this call. I mean, she is just nailing it. The words that are coming out of her mouth, I could tell you what the other person was saying without hearing them because of how she was responding. In the end, she sets the appointment, and then she pushes back out from behind her cubicle and she says, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it." And I'm like, what can't you believe? I said, "That was awesome. You were phenomenal. You set the appointment." She says, "I know, but I just heard me saying all the stuff that you've said. I was being you." And why was she able to do that? Because she was sitting beside me and she heard it over and over and over and over. That's what you need to do to be able to learn those scripts, those dialogues, so that it just comes out and it's yours. You own it. And that's what, Jerome, you were throwing out there. And I love that too. Rick, throughout the aspect, internalizing scripts is a must. Tracking your numbers, knowing what it takes. Because by the way, when you know that I got to talk to 50 people to get one appointment, it makes it a lot easier because you're closer to that appointment coming up for you. You should decide to predict your future income, be confident in yourself, take your scripts and make them yours. That is one of the things that we all struggled with in the beginning as well. Let me throw this out, and then Yvette, we're going to go to you. Do what's in Speedboard. If you started, guys, maybe you can help me out. I think it was around March that we rolled out the updated Speedboard. If you don't have a Speedboard that says day 1, do this, day 2, do this, day 3, do this, I want you to ask your mentor manager for the updated, most recent version of Speedboard. Okay. Then I want you to go through and click off all of the activities that you've actually done and do the activities that are not there. Now, do this for yourself. not for me. Do this for yourself because there's great stuff in there. And frankly, if you said, I know because y'all know this, our plan, our goal is that you have a signed contract within 30 days. Now, it won't happen for everybody, but if you've got 300 people and you've actually talked either this way or this way to all 300, you probably would have a contract signed. If you haven't got a contract signed within 30 days, 60 days, you probably have not talked to everybody in your sphere of influence. I can just look, it's been 35 years for me, of which most of those have been in people development. That is almost always the reason, okay? Because again, it's 300 people who know you that you have a relationship with. Somebody's making a move soon. So talk to all those people. That's a big, big part of it. Yvette, what do you got for us?
Okay, so I guess this is for some of the more practiced agents, but every year we have the market conversation. Oh, I don't know, I gotta see what the market's doing. And I remember holding off on buying property 3 years ago for the same reason. And of course, now I'm kicking myself, right? So what is some of the practice lines? What are some good informational things to say when their pushback on you is, well, I'm waiting on the market? A lot of the times I say the market to do what? But what is some better responses to that?
Oh, don't lose what you just finished with. I'm gonna have you stay with that, but again, this is not the Darwin show. This is about you guys and what you can do to help each other. So anybody take them off mute. Andre, go. Let's see what you got for it.
People are waiting for the prices to go down because they think that there's a crash coming. And what you want to talk about is, okay, a crash means that the mortgage rates are going to go really high. Do you realize that you will actually pay more for the house you're looking at because of the interest rates than you would paying the upfront price now? And then you're giving the money to the bank instead of an actual person that you care that could use it.
I like that. I like that. Who else has got something out there?
Oh, this is Jerome. I always say the market is great.
That's what I always say. Acknowledging the market. Absolutely. Where do you take it after that, Jerome?
After that, I tell them, but there is one reality that we're faced with, and that is we have a lot of people chasing after a little inventory.
So,
and that's the truth.
That's exactly what it is. It's a type of market that we've got, right? Who else has got something we can throw there? Andre, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to monopolize, but I
No,
do
you're
have
good.
a response for this. AmeriFirst has come out with a new program, and it will actually help people list their homes better, because it will buy the home from the homeowner and rent it back to them for 6 months while they look for a new home. And they've already got the money in pocket because the program bought it. So they've got the money to find a new house, and it'll help people list their home faster, better.
So a way that we can help folks in a difficult situation is by helping them pay cash for a home. And one I'm familiar with is Home Partners of America. And they essentially just do a lease with option to purchase when you get down to it. But they actually, you go out, find the home, they buy it, lease it out to the buyers, and then the buyers can purchase it. And everything's known in advance as to what and all of that's going to work. So it is an option. And I think it's one that, you know, hold that out there, keep it. It's viable. You will run into situations where somebody may need to go that route because it's been that rough on them. Options are a great part of being able to help you sell. Now, where I'm going to take you then, Yvette, is with this thought. Oh, there you are. You just switched positions on my. One of the things I want you to remember. No, let me throw. I got to land this learning point here. Taking what you know right now, I want you to think of you going through a listing presentation. Did a great job. You got all the way to the bottom. They're agreeing to list. And they say, oh, wait, before we do, what's the length of the listing? And you say it's 6 months. And they tell you that they only want to give you 30 days. Now, something popped into your mind. And it was probably something like, well, I can't do that because, or, well, I really need 6 months. And the reason being is, give me a head nod if that's kind of what popped into your head. Okay. All right. Now say, I'm going to do it. And then Yvette, you role play with me here. I'm going to say, I only want to give you 30 days and you're going to ask me why. You ready? Well, I only want to give you 30 days, Yvette.
All right, why is that?
Well, because the sheriff's sale is in 30 days.
Ah.
Aha, right? So here's the thing. Anything that you've learned on how to handle length of listing never covered that one, did it? So here's what I want to give you. It's not what do we say, but what do we ask? So
the good
I
questions.
think everybody, it's going to be in the questions. Yeah, as a matter of fact, let's write this down because you're going to hear me remind you of this often. One is the response pattern. So write down, acknowledge, repeat, ask another question. Write that down, take that note. Acknowledge, repeat, ask another question. Okay. Now, so you only want to give me 30 days. Well, okay. Why? It could be, Yvette, exactly what you did. I only want to give you 30 days. Oh, that's an acknowledgement, isn't it? And you go, so only 30 days, repeat. I'm just curious. Why? Well, or in this case, they answered it and you go, oh, wow. So the sheriff's sale is in 30 days, acknowledged and repeated. Now come up with a question. And you'll address it as is needed accordingly. So now let's swing it over to what you brought up. So Yvette, go ahead and take yourself back off and throw that statement back out to me again. The aspect of the market.
Okay. Why?
We're just having that conversation.
When people ask
blah,
me, you
blah,
know, well, I'm waiting for the market, and I ask them for the market to do what?
Okay, so here's the thing. You say, well, we're just waiting for the market. Well, I can appreciate that. You know, market's kind of interesting right now, isn't it? And you'd say, the market's kind of interesting right now, isn't it? Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you, you're thinking about then making a move, right? Say yes.
And they would respond yes.
Okay. This is role play. This is where you just jump right into their shoes. And so they say, well, yeah. So let me ask you, what do you believe the reason is to wait on the market? What are you hoping will happen?
Well, I'm hoping home prices will go down.
Ah, okay. Which really seems to make sense, doesn't it? I mean, after all, you take a look at the history and what we've seen, the market could go down. But you know, I'm just thinking about it. I've been looking around and now even for the past 3 years, guess what people have been telling me they've been wanting to do? Wait for
What's
the
that?
market to go down, right? Let me ask you
Uh,
this. How much money has it cost those people because they've waited for the market to go down for 3 years?
A lot now.
Yeah, really is a lot. Is I mean, who knows how much that is, but we're talking probably a minimum of 10% each year. And oh, by the way, what's happened to the interest rates?
Well, now they're significantly higher.
Yeah, they are a lot higher, aren't they? So here's what's now happened to those individuals. They've cost themselves about 30%. If it were 10% a year, actually, it would be more than that. And then on top of it, you think about the interest rates going from 2.5 to now, what, 3.5, 4? That if they're lucky, they might be able to get down below 4. How much is that over a 30-year mortgage? It's a lot, isn't it?
A lot.
I mean, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot.
So, you know, my concern is by waiting, how much might you be costing yourself? I'll tell you what, let's do this. Are you serious about making a move?
Yes.
Or I could even throw out this. Let me ask you, if we were able to find you the right house today, would you make the move?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's do this. Let's get together. Let's take a look and just see what it may cost you by waiting and what's the possibility that the market could even go down. So how about we get together on, say, I don't know, Tuesday, or would Wednesday be better?
Wednesday.
So remember, it's basically this. I don't need to address, or no, let me rephrase that. I don't need to answer their question right now. I need to address it well enough that I can have the appointment that, should I make sense to them, that they could actually sign a contract. So I don't need to
Okay, that
handle
made
it
more.
now.
That made more sense as we talked it through, to get them to think about basically what I should have thought about, 3 years ago. Okay, well, what happens if you wait? And what happens if it doesn't go down, and then what are we out? So if they've already thought about moving now, let's put value in why they need to move now. Okay.
You got it. And who's determining all those numbers?
They are.
And that's the difference. Because see, if I'd went, here's what I could have done if I'd have just said, well, there's a whole lot of people that 3 years ago thought that they should do this. And how stupid is that when you think of it now? Because interest rates have gone up and this has happened. I mean, my God, they've lost X amount of dollars. And what did I just tell them? You were stupid. You should have moved 3 years ago. And are they going to want to do business with me? The answer is no. So what I want you to get, remember this: whenever you're telling you're not selling, the only time you're selling is when you're asking questions. Let them realize that their lack of actions have cost them money.
Okay.
But the key is through my questions, I've also educated you guys, because had you actually looked at it from that perspective, see, anything we can tell, we can ask. So even when I've got to tell, it started with, I mean, have you considered what, or even, that interest rates now are at? Were you aware of that? There's the question on the end. Ask questions. That's the real key. And by the way, just to provide actual information, we have historically low inventory. And I know that there's national speakers that out there, they're going, inventory is not an issue. There's lots of homes to sell. There is, but the inventory is still low, and that really hits supply and demand. Why? I mean, I'm looking at one right now to help a buyer make an offer on it, $250,000. I think it's overpriced, but she wants to buy it. What does she offer? So we almost have to throw logic out the window right now. Why? Because there's no inventory. So Inventory is at historical lows. For us to get back to a normal market, we have to have an increase in available homes. We have to have an increase of days on market. We'd have to have an increase on the month's supply of inventory. And these are things that you need to be able to discuss with people. The more that you can throw out statistical information, the more logical and informed you appear to be. So knowing that we've got historical lows, until we get, I gotta see if I can get this in here, this to, well, right now it's like this. We've got to get it to go back to this. So either the inventory's got to go up or the number of buyers needs to go down. Is it potential that the buyers are going to start going down? Well, there's a lot of pent up demand, but what will cause it to go down? Rising prices and rising interest rates. So there is a likelihood, but before we're going to see prices fall, we've got to get a gap between the buyers and sellers. Inventory's got to go up, otherwise low supply, high demand. We won't see prices fall until there's a high inventory and a low demand. How long is that going to take? So unless if our government decides to screw something up royally, it's going to be a while, right? So just have that conversation, and I think that will help out. I'm showing 3 minutes. Let's do one quick one. Anybody else got something for this week I need help with? Oh, Jason, I'm sorry, I didn't see your thing here. What's the average length of stay on a home purchase? You have to help me out with that. What do you mean by that?
What's the average listing? Excuse me, not listing. Once a person purchases a home, what's the average length of a person staying in that home before they resell to a different home, to move to a different home?
You know what? I could throw out my thoughts, but Rick, Brenda, got thoughts on that one?
I'll give my thoughts. It's different for every market. It's different within the same market. It's different how you compare one house to another. What you got to do is look for trends, then conditions, and make apples as close to an apple as you can, even if it's an orange when it started. Pretend you're the appraiser, work from the end result backwards to where you're starting. And that's the only way you can do it. And it's different in Chicago. It's different in Michigan. It's different in Ann Arbor than it is in Richmond. It's different. And
yep.
I'm typing this in the chat room. You're going to see it in a second. Remember, everybody, if real estate was easy, we would not have a job. This is our job, to create dreams to come true. And guess what? We make money at it. So what a great, great, great career.
Yeah, Jason, if I gave you what would be a very generic answer, I have always asked, hey guys, what's the average time period for an American to move? And you'll hear 3, 5, 7 years.
Okay.
And I think that's taking into account all moves.
Can we do a round robin real quick for the people who own homes and tell me how long you've lived there?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. I've been in mine for 26 years.
You want to sell it?
Brenda,
Me too, Darwin, and no, I don't.
yeah. Who else? Andre, what's yours? Andre, I'm sorry, what was it?
13.
13 years. Anybody else?
I think it just depends on the individual. You know, someone may purchase a home today with no intentions of moving, but if their job asks them to relocate in the next 2 years, they're out of here. If they have 3 children when they move into their home and now they're expecting the 4th, they're ready to go. You know, maybe they planned initially when they bought that home that they were going to stay there 5 years or 10 years and then they're out. So it really kind of depends on the individual. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. I think you could look, probably to me, the 5 to 7 is going to be closer. Because even in my first home, if I think back, we bought it and my very first home was 84 and we stayed there until 93 when we moved over to this side of the state. So even then, what's that? 7 years, 84, 9 years.
Yeah, we did something
I
like
was in
that
that
too.
one.
You know,
Yeah.
our plan was to be
So-
in our first home for 5 years. We wound up being there for 10.
Yeah. And yet I'll tell you, I've had people that will call me up after 3 years and boom, they're back out again. I was saying the other day, I sold a house 3 times. So, you know, it just really varies. It depends upon the individual, and that's really a great answer. But I would say if it were me, you're probably going to hear that average for somebody to be in a home is 5 to 7. But I'll also throw this out. Hey, Robert, I like that. Robert from our Owasso office. I planned for 2 and I've stayed for 19. So it really does. I think, now this just my overall general knowledge of everything, but I think it's longer in Michigan than it might be in other states for one primary reason, the way that our taxes work, our property taxes. You see, we've got that uncapping thing. So people will look at it and go, I can't move because even if I move down my taxes, I'm not going to save any money.
Please proceed to the highlighted route and then the route guidance will stop.
Part. It really does depend, but I think yes, 5 to 7 years is something that you could look for. Is a good guide. Anything else before we call it good?
Last
Rick.
thing, just depending on your title company, for instance, attorney's title, ATA, they have, if you ask, a list of people. If the average stay in a house in Michigan averages 6 years, 7 years, whatever, give them a zip code. They'll tell you people live there longer. Now you have a target market of seasoned people to, rather than a shotgun effect in the neighborhood, it's a bullet. So, and I think it costs 18 cents a name and get you emails. Just ask. Here's your target market, folks. People who are thinking.
Thanks. My line of thinking was to try to target people that were longevity, living in their home, more likely would be more keen to sell, I guess.
And how about the people who have 60% equity or better? Isn't that make the list even more palatable?
Right.
Right. You can ask all these questions to scrub it, and they will give it to you, and it's yours. Just
As a matter
ask.
of fact, let me throw this out to you also. Jason, are you part of Real Comp?
Yes.
Okay. Remind Pro Tax. Get a hold of, just put a call into Bob DeVore. Bob can tell you how to do a search where actually you can take an area and pull where it would identify as to who would be the most likely candidates to make a move and create that targeted list. But Bob DeVore can do that, walk you through that.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Guys, everybody should have got the reminder for the link today. If you got that reminder for today's link, know that in that email, there's a spot where you can download and place it into your digital calendar that we have this every other Thursday, and it'll automatically be in there. If you've got other people in your office that would still be in the Mentee or be interested in joining with what we're doing on a bi-weekly basis, make sure to remind them also that we are doing this. If you have questions in between, make sure you give me a call. I'm a tool at your resources, I guess, a tool in your resource box. Rick, stop it. Okay, I shouldn't have said a tool. How's that? I am a resource that you guys can use to be able to really continue to take your career forward. So Andre, make sure you give me a call next week. I definitely want to talk with you. If others are looking at, look, I'm not where I believe I should be, or I need help. Most of the time it's with what's going on between our ears. Call me on that. All right. That is probably one of my primary specialties. And then the next part is just, we've got to make you guys do what you need to do.
Hey,
So
Darwin.
my number, So there you have it, 248-961-1690, 248-961-1690. And if you can't remember that, I'm online, you're gonna find me. Numbers will be in there. Okay, so you can catch me that way. Jen, did you have something?
Yeah, I just want to put a bug in your ear. What Rick was talking about as far as working with title companies and getting what sounds like to me is like a list of cold calls, which is what I'm looking for. And I'm always struggling and spending all my time doing and then acquiring not a lot of numbers. So if that could be like a hot topic at some point, if you know of the perfect title company person that could talk through, hey, if you, sorry, we're loud. If you guys, you know, yeah, so I'm just.
Oh, that Clinton
let
office.
that marinate. I think that would be a fantastic hot topic so we can really get on top of cold calling and what to ask the title companies for specifically. And those that don't have real comp, what should we do? So that's it.
I like that. Would you do me a favor?
Email you?
Email me, because that will be my primary trigger. And you know, maybe I know I've got a couple of title contacts, and Rick, maybe we can work with yours too, and see what we can pull out, because specifically it sounds like you're looking for the phone numbers.
Yeah, people to call. Yep.
All right. Yep.
Perfect.
I got
Thank
you.
you very much.
I like that suggestion. But Crystal was just saying, or just emails, not phone numbers. I was wondering if that was the program. But nonetheless, better than nothing. I think the other part, go out and knock on doors. So guys, I want to be respectful of time. We went 6 minutes and 57 seconds over.
Well, I got one comment. I got one comment for everybody. If you haven't, and you like Darwin's experience, and you have never, get someone from your office to join next time. You got something at your hands that you don't know how good it is. Now, next time we see you here, let's have someone that you brought. Everyone bring one person next time. You're missing something that's great, and it's free. Awesome. So plus, if it's a foul, you
took yourself off and put yourself on mute there at the end, Rick.
I said, you watch out. He'll tell you when you're on the line. He roughs basketball. Yep,
Foul.
Out of bounds.
Tee you up, buddy. Hey, so let's go out. Guys, enjoy the weekend. Have fun with it. Be safe. And most importantly, until we talk again in 2 weeks, you go talk to lots of people. Have a great week.